The Greedy Friend's Betrayal. Part 12. A New Beginning and the Final Lesson. The courtroom was empty now. Emily stood near the door for a few moments, staring at the place where Daniel had been standing. It was over. The investigation, the trial, the lies, and the betrayal had finally come to an end. But strangely, she did not feel happy. She felt tired. Very tired. Sarah gently touched her shoulder. "Are you okay?" Emily nodded slowly. "I think so." "You can finally move on." Emily looked out of the courthouse window. "Yes," she said quietly. "I think I can." Picking up the pieces. The next few months were not easy. Although the court ordered Daniel to repay the remaining money, most of it had already been spent. Emily knew she might never recover everything she had lost. At first, this made her angry and sad. But gradually, she realized something important. She still had a family. She still had her friends. She still had her health and her dreams. And those things were worth more than money. One evening, she sat in her apartment looking at an old photograph of herself and Daniel during their university days. They were both smiling. For a moment, tears filled her eyes. Then she placed the photograph inside a box and closed it. She wasn't forgetting the past. She was simply choosing not to live in it anymore. A new dream. A year later, Emily made a big decision. Using the money she still had and the savings from her job, she opened a small graphic design studio. It wasn't a huge company. The office was small. The furniture was simple. But it was hers. On the first day, she stood in the office and smiled. Her grandfather had always told her, "Success doesn't come from money. It comes from courage and hard work." For the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful again. Business slowly improved. New clients arrived. The company began to grow. Little by little, she rebuilt her life. Daniel's life in prison. Meanwhile, Daniel was serving his sentence. Prison was very different from the luxurious life he had imagined. The days were long and lonely. There were no expensive cars. No fancy apartments. No easy money. Only silence and regret. Every night, he thought about the choices he had made. He remembered Emily's kindness. He remembered her trust. And he remembered the pain in her eyes. One day, an older prisoner said to him, "What are you in here for?" "Fraud," Daniel replied. The man nodded. "And was it worth it?" Daniel looked down. No, it was the most honest answer he had given in years. An unexpected letter. 2 years into his sentence, Daniel wrote a letter. It was addressed to Emily. The letter said, "Dear Emily, I know I do not deserve your forgiveness and I am not writing to ask for it. I only want you to know that I regret everything I did. I lost the best friend I ever had because I chose greed over loyalty. Every day I wish I could change the past, but I cannot. I hope your life is filled with happiness and success. Thank you for the years of friendship you gave me. I am truly sorry. Daniel?" A few days later, Emily received the letter. She read it quietly. Then she folded it and placed it in a drawer. She did not reply. Some wounds need time to heal. And some betrayals can never be completely forgotten. 5 years later. 5 years passed. Emily's design studio had become successful. She had built a new life filled with peace and happiness. One afternoon, she walked through a park in London and sat on a bench. The sun was shining. Children were laughing nearby. For the first time in many years, she felt completely free. She thought about everything that had happened. The friendship. The betrayal. The pain. The lessons. And she realized something important. Bad experiences can break you, or they can make you stronger. She had chosen to become stronger. The final lesson. As for Daniel, he eventually left prison and started a quiet life in another town. He had learned a painful lesson. Money gained through dishonesty never brings happiness. He carried the weight of his mistakes with him every day. He knew he had lost something far more valuable than money. He had lost trust. He had lost friendship. And those things can never be bought back. The moral of the story. Greed can destroy even the strongest friendship. Trust is precious, and once it is broken, it is very difficult to rebuild. Money may come and go, but honesty, loyalty, and true friendship are treasures that should never be betrayed. The end.